What's up, everybody? I'm Matt Brody, and this is Simply Must Go, and it is a brand new year. Welcome to 2024. I'm very excited about what this year is going to bring, but it's new year and new gear, and this is going to be the year that we build up the Southlander. And so we've got a lot of plans in store for how we're going to do this, but I am going to need your help because I got lots of ideas, and I can't believe I'm going to ask the internet for an opinion, but I'm going to ask the internet, you, for your opinion on what we should do. So first thing we're going to do, though, today is we're going to go from this to this. That's right. We're going with a brand new winch, a brand new bumper, a bunch of other goodies, and I can't wait to share it with you. But future me has to tell you right now, this did not go according to plan at all. It's kind of par for the course, but let's get into it. All right, so step one is we're going to replace these front turn signal lights with these blackout lights that I got from Oxedo. Now, Oxedo is the same company that I used the side indicator lights on the YJ that were blacked out. They turned out awesome. These are also a direct plug-and-play replacement. You don't actually have to remove the front grille to get to these, but because I'm removing everything else, I figured this is way easier to do and to do it now. So I'm just gonna pop these out, pop these in, and we should be good to go. There is a left and right side, so be aware of that if you're gonna install these. Make sure you install the right one on the right side, but other than that, I'm really looking forward to sort of that blacked out look on the front grille. There we go. It's dirty in there. Once you got that unplugged, we just need to pop these tabs. Now we're just going to pop this one in and then plug it in. And there we go. And I'm just going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Sweet, I think those look really good. But it's always a really good idea to check everything before you put everything back. So let's turn the car on and see how it works. Start with the flashers. All right, so we've got one working, but not the other. All right, so after the first install test, my driver's side blinker is not working. So I'm going to play with it, see if it's a loose wire or something, or see if it's just not that great. So unfortunately, for whatever reason, you can see like there's something loose, right? Like it's sitting there and it wants to work, but then as soon as I get it back up against the Jeep, it cuts out. And I can feel it's the connector in the back, like it's not wanting to lock in. It just keeps pulling out. And I can't get it to lock in. And I think that's the issue. So I'm gonna play with this a little bit more, see if I can really jam it in there. If not, I'll probably just take them out, because if it's loose like that, it's going to come loose on the trail and stop working, and I don't want that. So we'll see what happens. All right, so you'll see it took a little bit of work, but I got it in there and seated correctly. Now it's not turning off or anything, so we're good to go on that. So I like the look. I like the blacked out look. I think it's going to go really well with the rest of the bumper and the winch. So that's a score. That's good. But just be aware that the connections are a little finicky, and you might have to really mess with it if you're installing these. So I bought my JKU used, and when I bought it, it actually already had this damage on the bumper. And I had all these plans of building it up, and then over the course of time, before I got a chance to build up the Jeep, I decided I actually wanted to spend time wheeling this completely stock. Stock for a Rubicon, if you want to get technical about it. But as a stock Rubicon, I wanted to know what this was capable of without any mods, without anything else, right? And so I left it all here thinking at some point I was going to damage this bumper again because I was a newbie and trying to learn. So I left it alone. Actually never damaged the bumper again. It's been great. But it is definitely time for a really high quality steel bumper that I'm super excited to share with you and to get this plastic one off. So we're going to do that. First things first is we got to pop this one off. Not too difficult, 4 bolts on each side, so 8 bolts total. And it should come right off. We just got to undo the wiring harness for these lights. Plenty of videos on there about how to actually take off your bumper. So I'm not going to go into depth on that, but we're just gonna take this off and then I'm gonna show you this sick bumper. So the bumper is off, and if you're astute, you'll notice that I've already relocated the vacuum pump that was here. Jeep mounts the vacuum pump here for some reason, and it gets in the way of aftermarket bumpers and things like that. So relocating this pump was something I did in preparation for all of this, and it actually relocates up here into the engine bay. Now that relocation bracket is not something that comes with this bumper. That's something you'll have to do on your own. I got that relocation bracket from Morris 4x4, I think. But anyway, it's not a terribly difficult install to do or modification to do, is to move that vacuum pump. But it is something that you'll need to do for most aftermarket steel bumpers. Also, this area of the bumper is fairly dirty, and I hate to put new stuff on top of old dirty stuff. I know it's going to get dirty again, but I'm going to clean it. This is actually a waterless car wash from, I think this is Chemical Guys is what I'm using. And then I'm just going to come back and wipe it all off. As you can see, there's a little bit of rust from where some spots rubbed, and a little bit of rust and oxidation on a few things. So I'm going to take a moment to clean that up and prep it and then paint it before I install the bumper. Sweet, looks like new. And while we wait for that to dry, let's check out this bumper. All right, so this is my new bumper, and I am super excited about it. You can see it's still all packaged up and stuff, but I wanted to show you something before I undid all the wrapping, is that they personalized it. It says, "Thanks, Matt," from ORC. And I think that's super cool, and it's important because these bumpers are 100% made in the USA by a company called ORC. They're out of Florida. And I've met them a few times at different shows. I first met them at Jeep Beach in Daytona. They also did the brackets and the wiring harness for my Tyree lights that are on the side of the Jeep. There was a whole install video we did on that. I'll link it up here. But ORC is an amazing company, and they are super dedicated to sort of bringing high quality USA made products to the marketplace. They started off with wiring harnesses and these light brackets and stuff for the lights. They've partnered with Tyree for those. And now they've come into building their own really high quality steel bumpers. And this is sort of their brand new stubby bumper for the JKU. They first debuted it, I think it was at Smoky Mountain Jeep Invasion this past year. I got to see it on a vehicle, and I got some video of it, and I fell in love with it. It's a completely awesome bumper. And so that's what I decided to go with. And I paid for this. Like, it's not a sponsorship thing. I paid for this because I like it that much. So I'm going to start unwrapping this, and then we're going to see what we need to do to install it. It's very well packaged. All right, so I may have done a couple things a little bit prematurely or out of order, however you want to do it, but in looking at the bumper and how it gets mounted in here and some of the brackets that come with it, I've realized that the bracket that I have for the vacuum pump, it's not enough to just move the vacuum pump. I'm going to need to cut the bracket off as well. So hopefully that's not a terribly difficult job, and I'm hoping my Sawzall will cut this well enough, but I just need to get rid of this little section right here in order for a bracket to fit. So we're going to do that real quick. Probably should have cut it and then painted everything, but you know, we'll just do it twice. Well, I was really hoping that I could get away with just cutting that top section off, but it looks like in order to get this bracket to really mount here, it's got to have that whole little section removed. So I'm going to have to keep cutting and grinding, I guess. All right. So I got that bracket completely cut off, and to be honest, scared the heck out of me. I'm not used to cutting things off my Jeep or anything like that. Fabricating, all that kind of stuff is still pretty new to me. So the idea of cutting that felt scary, but between the Sawzall and a cutoff wheel on an angle grinder, I was able to get it cut off and kind of cleaned up in 5-10 minutes. It didn't take that long, so I was probably fearful for no real good reason whatsoever. But that said, now I've got a lot of bare metal there, so I'm going to clean that spot up and paint it so that we're protecting it from any kind of future rust. All right, so as soon as that's dry, we should be clear to install the bumper. No issues whatsoever. All right, while we wait for that to dry, let me tell you a little bit more about this bumper. So this is Offroad Concepts Sport Series front bumper. It's an A36 steel plate CNC bent stainless steel grille, and it retails for about $800. So I went with this bumper for a couple of reasons. One is I absolutely love the look, and I decided that for a various number of reasons, I wanted to go with more of a stubby bumper. I actually bought a used AEV bumper that's like the full size, I think it's the Premier or whatever they call it. Anyway, and honestly, it just felt huge, and I really like that stubby bumper look, the same sort of idea that I have on the front of Emo here. And this bumper is very slick, very clean, very classic, so it fits my aesthetic of what I want to do with sort of that classic Overlander look on Southlander. I also love the fact that it's got opportunities to sort of customize it. So I ended up, these are sort of these little side grill plates that go in the side here and here. And so I've customized these in white. Also, I think they're called clevis mounts, but basically what you mount your like D-rings to. I've customized those in white as well, so it fits the rest of the aesthetic of the Jeep, I think. It's going to look really cool having some white accents on the front of this bumper. The other reason, beyond all of that, is I know the owners. Jackson Green has become a friend of mine over the years. We first met at Jeep Beach in Daytona several years ago. We've stayed in contact. We talk, we text back and forth. I love their products. I love the mentality of the company is to provide really high quality, cutting edge sort of off-road parts that are all made in the USA. Everything about it is made in the USA. So that is one of the things that really drew me to this, is that it's a sleek, compact bumper that's really strong, looks great, I can customize it. It's not super expensive. I mean, $800 for a really high quality American-made bumper is not a bad deal at all. And beyond that, the customer service. Like, I just know that they're going to take care of people. So when you call them, when you email them, when you text them, like, you're getting the owner responding to you saying, yes, this is how you do this. Like, when I had questions before we started this, I was like, do I need to do this? He FaceTimed me to help me like understand exactly how all this was going to fit together. So the customer service there, again, top notch. I paid for this. It's not a promo, but I'm giving them a promo anyway. So go check out Offroad Concepts. The link will be down in the description below if you want to check out this bumper. But I absolutely love it, and I'm super proud to have it on my rig. It's one of their new bumpers, so it's also not something you'll see in a lot of places. But I'm ecstatic for it. They're also going to come out with a version of it for the YJ, which is definitely going on Emo. So again, that's why I picked this bumper. All right, the paint has dried, and now it's time to put on the bumper, and arguably this would be a lot easier with two people, but it's just me, and there's a couple of different pieces that have to kind of sandwich in here. So you've got to get the D-ring plate here, the clevis mount plate, then the bumper, and then those brackets. And so I've tried to think through this a little bit, and what I actually did was mount the plates inside the bumper and then sort of attach some D-rings so they can't fall out. I think that'll help me get this in place until I can put in the bolts. Sweet. All right, I'm going to attempt to kind of basically put in place these outside bolts first so that I can put the bracket in. Nothing is ever easy for a project I'm working on, ever. So here's the issue I've now run into. This side, the driver's side, everything lines up as it should, easy peasy. The passenger side, however, the frame mount on the back, you know, where the actual Jeep's frame part is, it is not lining up with these holes. And I've done some measurements. I called the owner, and after looking at things, we've determined that the holes in the factory part of the Jeep are at a different place than on this side, and it's not supposed to be that way. These have clearly, like measuring them, they're not in the right spot. This is not an issue with the bumper. This is a Jeep manufacturing defect issue, but it's just par for the course in anything I have to work on.
So, admitting temporary defeat, I brought my Jeep and my bumper over to my buddy Rob's, who is way better at this stuff than I am. Rob quickly came to the conclusion I had, which were the holes and the horn were off about 3/8 of an inch, and the easiest way to fix the problem would be to cut the bottom of the horn. The tolerance in the manufacturing is supposed to be side to side, but mine was way off top to bottom, which was causing the issue. There was enough play in the factory bumper that this wasn't a huge problem, but the ORC bumper is designed to be tight against the horns, and the flaw in the manufacturing was preventing the bumper from sitting flush, which was keeping the holes from lining up. So after touching up the bare metal and letting it dry, the bumper slid on like a glove.
All right, so now that we have the bumper on and it looks amazing, it's time to finish this all off with the winch. And the winch that I've gone with is the Open Road Panther S2. It's a 13,000 pound winch. It's actually the same winch that I have on the front of Emo here, only the one on Emo is a 9,500 pound winch. So this is a little bit of an upgrade from that. But these winches have been awesome. They are an amazing, I'm gonna call it a budget option for a winch, but they perform super well, synthetic line, and I can't wait to get this on the front of Southlander. In the box, you have everything you need. You have your nuts, your bolts, your cables, you've got your fair lead, you also have your wireless controllers and a wired controller. I've also got my son Will with me, who is really interested in this stuff, and at his age knows more about stuff like this than I did 5 years ago, but he's really interested to learn how to install a winch because he wants to get his own Jeep in about a year or so when he turns 16. So anyway, he's going to help me install this winch. So from experience doing this on Emo, it seems like the best option is to install the fair lead first, because sometimes getting to the bolts in the back of this once the winch is in here can be kind of tight. So we're going to install this first. So before we do anything else, we're going to add the ground to the winch. It's a lot easier to do it now than it is to do it later. I made that mistake on Emo, so Will's going to do that for me first, and he's just going to tighten it up with a 13 millimeter. Now we're putting in the nuts to the winch that lock in the bottom. You want to make sure you do this now before you put it on the Jeep, or you'll never get them in. Walk it over. Yep. Watch your fingers. Just going to set it down. We'll get all this figured out in just a second. You just don't want to get your fingers caught. So you want to sort of finger tighten them, keep them all loose before you get everything tight. That way you know everything is in and fits before you get anything locked down. All right, the winch is in place, and now he's just going to tighten everything down with a 16 millimeter. All right, so we've got the winch mostly installed. What we now need to do is wire it in, and the engine bay in the JKU does not have nearly as much room as the engine bay in the YJ. And where I want to run the wires up, I want to come up here and then kind of behind the airflow or the air intake, and then up and around to the battery. And my experience tells me it's a lot easier to pull things up than it is to try to push things up. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of paracord. We're going to drop it down where we want it, tie it onto the cable so we can pull it up exactly how and where we want it, so that we're not getting cables in weird places that are getting pinched or in the way of other things or hitting things that are hot. So the cables on the Panther S2 were plenty long when I did it in the YJ, but that's a much smaller engine bay, and the battery's in a kind of a different spot, but it's not quite as long of a run. Here it's a little bit longer, and ideally for a winch you'd have a disconnect. I can't remember what it's called. You know, either like a switch that that disconnects the winch from the battery so it's not always on, or you'd run it into something like some sort of pod, like an S pod or something like that. I don't have any of that stuff. It's part of what I would like to do in the future, but at this point, I'm running the winch directly to the battery, and we don't have quite enough to go the route that I intended. So we're going a different route, which should work out just fine, not really cause a problem. In the future, I will rewire this once I get some sort of pod or something like that to have it all kind of wired in, and you won't need as much cable for that. But that's the plan right now. All right, the winch is wired up to the battery. Next, we just need to screw on the handle. The open road winch comes with this hook, and it's a fine hook. I use it on Emo. It's not bad. I think it's fine, but it's a hook. And in my opinion, I think there's better things that we can use. And so for this, we're going to use the Factor 55 flat link. I guess that's what it's called. And so that'll connect in, and then it'll sit flat against the bumper like this. It's going to look super cool. So we're going to install this on here instead of the hook. I swear this is the hardest part. It's just this stupid little C-clip. There we go. Cool. All right. That's on. All right, the winch should be installed. So this is the moment of truth. Will, you did such an awesome job helping me out. I'm going to let you be the one that presses the button. So Will's got the wireless remote. He's going to turn it on, and he's going to start winding this in slowly so we can make sure it works. We've engaged the winch, so this is disengaged. That's sort of like locked and neutral, and then you can do this, and that's sort of ready to move. So locked and ready. So all right, we'll see if we can start pulling this thing in. All right, nice and slow, nice and slow. A little bit at a time. A little bit more. A little bit more. A little bit more. Good. All right. Now, honestly, what we have to do is pull this whole line out and winch it in nice and tight so that this is, I forget what they call it. I'm going to call it seated well. Like we get the rope properly tightened on the spool so that when you're actually pulling it out and winching, things don't slip and you don't have a problem. So we still have to do that, and we'll do that shortly. But for today, that's going to do it. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you're interested in the bumper, which is super amazing, I really love the look of this. I love the low profile of it. It's built really well. I know we had some issues with the install of it, but that wasn't the bumper's fault. That was my Jeep's fault. I really do love the open road winch. This Panther 13,000 pound winch is going to be amazing. It looks perfect on this Jeep. The color scheme matches. It's black, red, and white. I couldn't ask for anything more than that. So links for both of these will be in the description, and we will see you guys in the next video. Peace. All right, the winch is fully installed. The bumper is installed, and it looks so good. It completely changes the way the Southlander looks, and it looks amazing, at least to me. Anyway, these are just the beginning of the upgrades that we're going to be doing to Southlander this year. Got a whole bunch of other things. I need to figure out the lift kit that I need, the tires that I need, probably looking at getting a new rack, a bunch of other things that we're going to be doing. Big plans, and I'm super excited about it. And yeah, I can't wait to get all that stuff done. There will be links in the description for both the open road winch and the Offroad Concepts Bumper if you're interested in looking at those. Also, I do want to be totally transparent and honest. These Oxedo lights, not sure how I feel about them. As I've driven around for about a week or so, this light keeps coming kind of loose and stops working, and I have to keep playing with it. I just can't seem to get it seated in a way where it's going to stay. So if I can't get it figured out, I'll probably change these back out to the factory lights. But just as a heads up, if you decide to get these and you have that problem, it may be a universal thing, or it may just be a me thing, who knows. But anyway, I wanted to be honest with you about those. So I'm sort of on the fence right now about these lights. But anyway, if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. It really helps out the channel a lot. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe. Smash that thing right in the face, and it really supports the channel. And we will see you guys in the next video. Peace!